Ginny sits alone in her room, scrolling through old photos, smiling faces, blurry moments, laughter that feels like another lifetime. Across town, Marcus stares at his ceiling, headphones on, trying to drown out the thoughts that never stop. They're miles apart, yet somehow still tangled in the same silence. It's the kind of distance that words can't measure, the kind that lingers between two people who care, but don't know how to say it. The episode opens in the soft, tired glow of a late evening. Ginny's room is scattered with half-read books and tangled fairy lights, her thoughts heavier than the air around her. It's been months since everything fell apart, since words were thrown like weapons, and silence became their only language. She tells herself she's moved on, that she's stronger now. But every time she sees Marcus across the school hallway, her chest tightens just a little. It's not love she feels anymore. It's unfinished business. Meanwhile, Marcus rides through the streets on his bike, the night air sharp against his face. He looks up at the sky like it owes him answers. There's a strange comfort in motion, in not having to stop long enough to feel. He tells himself Ginny deserves better, that she's fine without him. But deep down, he knows he's lying. Because every song he writes still sounds like her, and every quiet moment reminds him of what he never said. The narration slows. The background hum fades, and a soft piano note hits low, fragile, almost hesitant. Sometimes, the voiceover says, it's easier to live with the space between you than to risk crossing it again. Ginny's phone lights up. It's a text from Marcus. Just one word, hey, her breath catches. That single message breaks weeks of silence, but it carries the weight of everything left unsaid. She stares at the screen, unsure if replying will reopen an old wound or finally start to heal one. The music swells. The camera pans to her reflection in the window. Two versions of Ginny, one scared, one brave, stare back at each other. And in that quiet moment, the tension shifts. Maybe this time she's ready to stop running. Maybe this time she answers. The next day unfolds under a cloudy sky, heavy with the kind of silence that makes everything feel slower. Ginny walks through the hallways of the school, pretending not to see him. Marcus leans against his locker, pretending not to care. But when their eyes meet for the first time in weeks, something shifts like gravity remembering where it belongs. Neither smiles. Neither looks away. It's awkward, quiet, real. Hours later, they find themselves in the same place again, his garage. It's where they used to escape the world, surrounded by paint-stained walls and broken guitar strings. Marcus fumbles with a chord on his guitar, the sound rough and uneven. Ginny sits on the floor, knees pulled close, watching him like she's trying to remember who he used to be. The silence between them hums louder than the music. He finally breaks it. I didn't mean for things to end like that, Marcus says, his voice low, like he's afraid of it echoing. Ginny doesn't answer right away. She looks down, tracing the edge of a dusty notebook with her thumb. You didn't fight for it either, she finally replies. Her words aren't angry, they're tired. Honest. Marcus looks at her, the weight of her voice hitting harder than he expects. I didn't know how, he admits. I was lost. The camera lingers on Ginny's face, soft but conflicted. She doesn't interrupt. She doesn't comfort him. She just listens. For once, she lets the silence do what it's meant to, hold space for truth. Outside, rain begins to fall, tapping lightly on the garage roof. The sound fills the space between their words. Marcus sets his guitar down. I thought pushing you away would make things easier, he says, but it just made everything quieter. Ginny meets his eyes, and for a second, she sees past the confusion and guilt. She sees the boy who once understood her without words. We both hurt each other, she whispers. But I think we were just trying to protect ourselves. The rain grows louder, almost rhythmic. They don't hug, they don't cry. They just sit there, two people finally saying the things they couldn't before. And in that stillness, something fragile begins to mend. Sometimes, the narrator says softly, the hardest conversations aren't loud. They're the quiet ones, where every word is a step toward forgiveness. The rain slows to a gentle drizzle, but the air between them still feels heavy, like the storm hasn't really left. Ginny sits cross-legged on the floor, staring at the small puddle forming beneath the garage door. It ripples each time a drop hits, small circles spreading wider and wider like their words. Finally, starting to reach somewhere deeper, Marcus exhales, leaning against the wall. You ever feel like you're broken in a way people can't see? He asks quietly. Like no matter how hard you try, something's still missing? Ginny looks up at him, her expression softening. All the time, she says. But I stopped pretending that being okay means being fixed. The camera lingers on their faces, no filters, no perfect lighting. Just raw honesty. Marcus nods slowly, his eyes glassy but calm. I kept thinking if I could make music about the pain, I'd understand it. But all it did was make it louder. He looks down, his fingers trembling slightly, and I hated that I couldn't talk to you about it. Ginny scoots closer, her voice steady now. You don't have to have it all figured out, Marcus. You just have to stop shutting me out when you don't. There's no anger in her tone, this time just truth. The kind that doesn't need to be shouted to be heard. The background score fades into a soft, rising hum. For the first time, Marcus smiles, small, almost uncertain, but real. You always made me feel like I could breathe, he says. Even when I didn't want to. Ginny's eyes glisten, but she doesn't look away. Then maybe we just forgot how to listen to each other, she whispers. Maybe this is us remembering. The light through the half-open door hits their faces, golden and warm. It's subtle, but everything feels lighter. The rain outside turns to mist, and the music shifts into a soft piano melody that carries a sense of relief. Like exhaling after holding your breath for too long, they sit there in silence again. But this time, it's not uncomfortable. It's peaceful, healing. Sometimes, the narrator says, the bravest thing two people can do isn't to fall in love again. It's to be honest about why they broke. Ginny lets out a shaky laugh, brushing a tear off her cheek. Marcus laughs too, quiet and unsure, but together. And for the first time in a long while, the silence between them doesn't feel empty, it feels full of possibility. The storm has passed. The night air feels cleaner now, sharp and calm, like the world has taken a deep breath after holding it in for too long. Ginny steps out of the garage first, the soft crunch of gravel under her shoes echoing in the quiet. The rain has stopped, but tiny drops still cling to her hair, glittering under the pale glow of a streetlight. Behind her, Marcus lingers in the doorway, watching her the way someone watches a memory they're afraid to lose. Neither of them speaks for a long moment. The silence isn't heavy anymore, it's gentle, almost sacred. The kind of silence that says more than words could. Ginny finally turns, her voice soft but steady. We can't go back, can we? Marcus shakes his head, a small, understanding smile forming on his lips. No, he says. But maybe that's not a bad thing. The camera pans across the quiet street, the world around them slowly waking up to morning. A single beam of sunlight cuts through the clouds, landing on Ginny's face. She closes her eyes, lets it warm her skin, and for the first time, she doesn't feel weighed down by what came before. She just feels ready. Some stories don't end, the narrator says. They just change chapters. Ginny walks a few steps ahead, her backpack slung loosely over one shoulder. Marcus follows at a distance, not too close, not too far. It's not about romance right now. It's about understanding. About growing separately, but still caring quietly. Their footsteps fall into rhythm, like two heartbeats finding balance again. As they reach the edge of the street, Ginny turns to him and smiles, a real one this time. See you around? She asks. Marcus nods. Yeah, he says softly. You will. The screen slows as she walks away, sunlight stretching across the pavement. The music rises, a blend of soft piano and distant hums, the kind that sounds like hope. The voiceover fades in one last time, steady and reflective. Healing doesn't always mean fixing what broke. Sometimes it means learning to live with the cracks and realizing they let the light in. Cut to black. The Netflix logo flashes across the screen. Then a final line appears. This season, they're not running from the past. They're walking toward the truth?